Good afternoon, students. Last time we had stopped at performance management cycle. Okay, to just brush up the things here, right? So we had gone for the task hay force task. Okay, so basically this particular hay force task is something wherein the areas. Okay, so it is nothing but the areas where the performance appraisal is to be taken into consideration. Okay, so if you could see here. The CEO, basically his area is operating into entire foreign operations, right? So he directs and guides the entire operations of the foreign country. Okay, so that is one of the tasks on which he will be appraised. Apart from that, structural reproducers. Okay, these are the people who will be reproducing the entire aspects, that is basically marketing. Okay, so I think you all have gone through the videos, the last class videos. Are there any doubts in the video, students? Then I'll move ahead with the class. Are there any doubts with the previous videos? Yes, students, any doubts with the previous classes, previous modules? Students, please reply back. Any doubts in the previous classes?
No, ma'am.
Okay, great. So here, my dear students, we'll just go with the Hey4 task here. So here, basically, what this particular person says is, was where you're going to areas which are to be appraised. So here, first particular area was chief executive officer. Okay, so is one particular person who manages the entire operations of the subsidiaries. Okay, so his appraisal would be based on the operations successfully managing the entire operations of the subsidiary. Apart from that, we have structural producer. Basically, he is one who reproduces the structure. Okay, so he or she is familiar with that in the parent company or in another subsidiary. Okay, so here the structures include marketing framework, establishing plant, introducing a new product, introduction of a new educational training program, or introduction of a new services. All these are various areas on which this particular structural producer will be appraised. So this is one of the area which is being appraised. Apart from that, we have the troubleshooter. Okay, so he is one who diagnoses the problem, analyzes the problem, and solves a specific operational problem. Okay, so diagnosing, person who diagnoses, analyzes, and solves the specific operational problem is called as a troubleshooter, and he will be appraised on the basis of how well he diagnosed the operational problem, how well he analyzed the operational problem, and how well he solved the operational problem. So that is one of the area through which the troubleshooter is being appraised. Apart from that, we have operative operative role. Okay, so in this is the operative a person who performs functional job in the existing operational structure. This particular person is a person who performs the functional job. Okay, maybe HR, maybe marketing, maybe production, maybe quality, performs functional job. Okay, in the existing organizational structure. So his entire performance is judged or appraised based on the output what he gives into the operative functions. Okay, so that's what we say the areas of appraisal. Okay, so that was being defined by R Hayes. Okay, and it was being named as Hayes 4 task. Okay, so apart from that, there are four different assignments. Okay, on which the assignees will be sent in, or the uh, international assignees will be sent in. One is the strategist. Okay, it is nothing but framing the strategy. Okay, he knows the strategy of the parent company. Okay, and he puts forth the same strategy or better strategy into subsidiaries. Okay, and also identifies the opportunities for the new products and services, new markets, and also understands the SWOT analysis. Okay, so he's a person who does this SWOT analysis. Fine. So he or she stays in a host country for short duration in different intervals to formulate the strategy. So this particular person stays for a short duration into different intervals. Okay, to formulate a strategy and oversees the implementation of the strategy. So his or her performance will be based on how well he has understood the strategy, framed the strategy, and implemented the strategy. Then another role we had the consultant, which is not being put forth here. Apart, please understand, students, we are seeing this Hayes four task. Okay. Apart from that, we have another four tasks, that is the strategist. The consultant is one who is assigned with the specific task of providing advice on the operational issue. Okay. Fine. So here the consultant is one who is assigned with the specific task of providing advice on the operational issue or a new business. Okay. So this particular person is playing a role of a consultant, and his appraisal will be done on based on the task or advice he has provided for the task to be completed. Okay. And then the innovator, obviously it will be based on the innovations, okay, of a new product, new services, new processes, and all those things. And then skill transferer, that is also one role being played. So here a skill transfer is one who is assigned with the task of developing the host country national employees of the subsidiary. Okay. So here this particular person goes and develops the skill of the host country nationals of the subsidiary, and his performance is being appraised based on how well he has trained the employees there of the host country, as well as how well they have taken up the job and performed their jobs on their own. So that's what we say the areas to be appraised. Okay. Moving on to the structure of managerial roles in cross-cultural settings, we have seen already. Okay, so structural roles, basically we have seen the for the structural role in cross-cultural management for the third country nationals. For the third country nationals, we have seen the cultural boundaries here, okay, between the host country and the parent country, as well as the third country. So here what happens is there is cultural boundaries. The communication of the role conception will be from role sender will be the parent company nationals. Okay, they'll be sending the role to the third country nationals, and the third country nationals role recipient will be there, the person who receives that particular role, and also converts it into the role behavior. A third country national manager is a person who converts it into the role behavior, and then passes on to the role center, that is a parent company. Okay. So in the same way, the host country nationals here, the third country national will be sending the same to the parent country as well as the host country nationals. Okay, who also will be the role sender to the TCN, that is third country national managers. Okay. So here, parent country national managers as well as host country national managers will be sending the role. Okay, parent country will be directly involved with the third country, whereas host country will be indirectly involved with the third country nationals. So they will be passing on the role to the third country managers. They convert it into the behavior, and then finally the same is being appraised back by the parent company and the host company. Okay, host country. That's what we say the role in cross cultural settings in third country nationals. Okay. So this is basically for third country nationals. Fine. And then you have parent country nationals here, my dear students. So here multinationals will be sending the role, communicating the role conception, what exactly they expect. Role conception is nothing but what exactly they expect from the others. Okay. So in multinational companies, the role sender is a person who expects the performance from the parent country national manager, who is the role recipient. So here he will be sending what expectations are there to the parent country national. Okay, parent country national manager will receive the role, um, understand it, and say he transfers it into the role behavior. Okay, he sees to it that everyone in the organization applies it and converts it into behavior, and then the response is being sent to multinational role center. Okay, so here again what happens is the multinational role center will be sending it to the parent country national, again role behavior, and then the same role is being sent to host country nationals. Okay, so host country nationals also will be putting forth that particular role into conception, into implementation, and then send the feedback to the parent country national, that is a role recipient. Fine. So this is how it is put forth. Host country national. Okay, so here what happens is parent country, parent company will be the role sender. They will send the role to the host country role recipient, and then he converts it into the behavior and again sends it back to the parent company. So here appraisal will be done by the parent country. Okay, so here again the host country stakeholders are the people who the behavior will be directly affecting the host country stakeholders, as well as they will send the feedback to the host country manager. So here two things are taken into consideration. One is parent company role sender, and the stakeholders, host country stakeholders, so role sender. Stakeholders are again nothing but the employees, the government, okay, of that particular country, right? All these become the stakeholders, fine. So they will be sending the expectations to the host country manager, and then parent country also will be sending the expectation to the whole host country manager. He will interpret it and implement it and changes it into behavior, and then finally it will be sent back to the parent company and the host country. So host country will be appraising the host country managers, and the parent company will be also appraising the host country managers. So this is how, my dear students, role conception is being played. So here again we come down to performance management cycle here. So performance management cycle uh, basically is nothing but one of the most challenging task of IHRM. It is one of the most challenging task of IHRM. Okay, so here performance of the firm varies into international facilities. When it comes to domestic and international, there are a lot of changes, as well as there are a lot of sensitivity, sensitive things involved when it comes to international human resource performance. So here performance management may be understood as process that enables an international firm, okay, it enables the international firm to evaluate and continuously improve individuals, subsidiary units, and corporate performance against clearly defined preset goals and targets. So there are clearly defined preset goals and targets, and individuals will be performing accordingly. So here there should be continuous improvement into individual subsidiary units as well as corporate performance. So an expatriate's performance need to be assessed, okay, to effect. So here you have to assess the expatriate performance, okay, in order to affect his or her promotion, as well as assess the training and development needs, as well as introduce the pay rise. So for increments and all those things, it is required. So it is very much required that you have to assess the expatriates performance. So if you could see here in this particular diagram, my dear students, job analysis is being done, okay. So job analysis has been done based on multinational global strategies and goals. So whatever multinational global strategies and goals are there, based on that you go in for job analysis, and then finally the subsidiary goals will be there. Subsidiary goals also affect the job analysis, and then finally the individuals and employees, that is parent country nationals, third country nationals, and host country nationals, set their goals and standards based on the job analysis, as well as the subsidiary goals and multinational and global strategies, okay. And then finally they convert it into performance appraisal, and then finally if performance appraisal is really good, they will go in for promotions or increment of the employees. If not, then they again the training do come into consideration. This is the performance management cycle of international firms, okay. Now moving on to performance management of international assignees, how it is being done. Okay, so here you have a contextual model of expatriate performance. So here we have come up the model has been put forth uh, by so model has been put forth by Tavanian. Okay, he is a person behind this particular model. So one of the few studies basically that examined expatriate performance management as opposed to those that focused solely on the appraisal is that conducted by Tavana. Okay, so this particular person went in for uh, putting forth expatriate performance management, examining the expatriate performance management, okay, as opposed to those of focused solely on the appraisal. So basically he just did not solely put forth too much of force on appraisal, but he took everything into consideration. So taking a grounded theory approach, so here using qualitative case methodology. So this particular person went in for qualitative case methodology and explored the international, domestic, and organizational context in which expatriate performance occurred within the Finnish multinational. Okay, that is Nokia Telecommunication. He went in to examine all those things there. From this study, this particular person developed a comprehensive model. Okay, so in this particular study, wherein it was being put forth in Finnish multinational Nokia Telecommunication, he came up with a comprehensive model which illustrates the interrelationship between various elements. Okay, so this particular model is being discussed in this particular diagram here. If you could see, so you have maturity level of the company operations in the host country. Okay, then national culture in the host country and the home country, and then you have international context, domestic context, and organizational context. That is nature of the job, organization structure, which do come in organizational context. So company strategies and goals are being established here, and it is being clarified on of performance expectations. What exactly is the performance expectation is being clarified to the employees, and then you go for evaluating the performance of the employees, and then you go for whether the employees should go for training and development, whether they should get performance related pay, or whether they can be used for other organizational purposes. And then again, the clarification of the performance expectations do take place. Okay, when it comes to training and development, if performance evaluation is such that a few employees wherein they had to go for training and development, again there will be clarifications of performance and expectation to them. Okay, so this is exactly the contextual model of expatriate performance. Okay, so here, um, what we say in basically this particular thing was being done in Nokia. So in Nokia, for example, organization structure emerged as important. Okay, so organization structure is very important in Nokia. So like some of its Nordic counterparts, Nokia adopted a global matrix form that prevailed at the top management level of the multinationals as an overarching structure. So, however, in some divisions, okay, and in particularly at lower organizational levels, a traditional line management organization remains fine. So they remain traditional line management organizations remain at a lower level. Multinationals also use project teams. Okay, so Thevenin found that employees within these different organizational configurations were managed differently. For example, expatriates in line positions were evaluated by their host country managers. So please understand the difference here. Contextual model being put forth by this particular person, Tavanian. Okay, he went into identifying the things in Nokia telecommunication company. Okay, of Finnish. Okay, so here what happened is he identified that there were different organizational configurations which were managed differently. Okay, so here he put forth an example saying that expatriates inline managers, expatriate inline managers who reported through the metric structure were evaluated by who were evaluated by host country managers. So expatriate in position inline positions were evaluated by host country managers, whereas product managers who were reported through the matrix structure were evaluated by host and home country supervisors. Please understand, students here. Inline position expatriates were being evaluated by host country managers. Then production managers who reported through the matrix structure were evaluated by host and home country managers. Okay, so as this particular person, Tavanian, points out, matrix structure can in fact resolve the inherent conflict between different expectations. As the two supervisors appraising an expatriate performance, there again you have host country as well as the parent country who will be appraising the expatriate performance. Okay, so that's what he explained in this particular model. Okay, so here basically uh, uh, if you could see here, standard performance management system is being put forth. Then here there are style and skills of the managers and the employees. So if you could see here, company strategies and goals are being influenced entirely by the organizational context, domestic context, and the international context. All these three forces do influence the company strategies and goals. Okay, so here when the company strategies and goals are set, the clarifications of the performance expectations are being made based on the strategies and goals, and then they go for evaluating the performance. Okay, so when you are evaluating performance also, performance expectations are clearly told to the employees. So if the performance is really very high, then probably there will be performance related pay. Okay, as well as the employee who is really performing well can be utilized into other aspects or the other purpose, organizational purpose also. So here the style and skill of the managers and the employees are taken into consideration. But if performance is not according to expectation, then they go for training and development. Okay, so here standard performance management system is being formed, and they try to train, meet the needs of the employees. They try to train the employees, they try to develop the employees, which again meets the corporate expectations or the performance expectations, ultimately which meets the corporate strategies and goals. So this is what we say the contextual model of expatriate performance management. Okay, now moving on to the third and host country employees. Okay, so here third and host country employees. So performance appraisal is a method of evaluating the behavior. So here, when we speak about appraisal of third and host country managers, it is a method of appraising behavior of the employees in the work spot, normally which includes qualitative and quantitative aspect of the job performance. So appraisal of expatriates of third and host country employees. Criteria of performance which is being seen. First is the hard goals, second is the soft goals, and third is the contextual goals. Okay, so here they look into the hard goals, the soft goals, and the contextual goals. Okay, conducting of performance appraisal. Okay, so here when we speak about conducting of performance appraisal, subsidiary manager who tends to assess according to the subsidiary performance. Okay, so here subsidiary, that is host country manager, will be assessing the employee, the expatriate or the third country national or the host country national according to the subsidiary performance. Okay, then appraisal for other employees is likely to be conducted by subsidiary chief. Other employees appraisal, okay, also is being conducted by subsidiary chief. And multiple raters. Multiple raters are sometimes used in domestic context, as well as virtual assignment situation also is being given. So this is how basically there is a conduction of performance appraisal for third country nationals and host country nationals. So subsidiary managers, that is host country nationals, will be assessing the performance of the third country nationals and host country nationals, as well as the other country nationals. The other employees also will be uh, appraised by the subsidiary chief itself. There will be multiple raters. Okay, sometimes used in the domestic context. Certain times in domestic content, you have multiple raters, and the virtual assignments also, virtual assignment situation also is being provided. Okay, so basically this is how the performance conduction of performance appraisal takes place for third country nationals and host country nationals. Moving on to the issues and challenges of international performance management. Okay, so here. If you could see, the first issue and challenge of international performance management is whole versus part. Okay, now what exactly is this whole versus part? Okay, so basically when we see the whole, uh, it's in multinationals is a it is seen as a single entity. Okay, so whenever we see about multinationals, it is seen as a single entity that faces the global environment. Okay, which means that which means it simultaneously confronts different national environments, integration and controls imperatives, often place the multinationals in the position where it decides that the good of the whole is more important than one's subsidiary short-term profitability. So it says that the whole, that is the uh, host country as well as the parent country, should work together as a whole. Okay, not as a part. Okay, subsidiaries earn profit, parent country earn profits. No, both together should earn the profits. Okay, so multinationals should establish an operation in a particular market where its main global competitor has a dominant position. Okay, so objectives of entering the market is to challenge the competitor's cash flow with aggressive pricing policies. That is what we could see. Okay, so here another situation is basically when you speak out whole versus part, uh, where multinationals establish joint ventures in the particular market in order to have presence there, even though it has low expectations in short term and may provide minimum resources to this venture. Therefore, the consequences of such a global decision for subsidiary management must be taken into consideration for performance appraisal. So, for performance appraisals, when it comes to performance appraisal, you have to look into whole as well as in certain situations you have to also look into the part. Okay. Now moving on to the next issues and challenges in international performance management. These also may be taken as constraints which affect the goal attainment. Which affect the performance management. So non-comparable data, that is the second one. So here data obtained from subsidiaries may be neither interruptible nor reliable. Okay. So here basically data obtained by subsidiaries may not be reliable or may neither be interpretable. Okay. So sales in Brazil may be skyrocketing, but there are reports that the Brazilian government may impose tough new exchange controls within a year, thus making it impossible for the multinationals to repatriate profit. So does this mean that multinational enterprises is performing effectively? Uh, or is the subsidiary performing effectively? Okay, so here a very nice example is being taken. Sales in Brazil may be skyrocketing, so sales are very high in Brazil, but there may be reports that Brazilian government may impose tough new exchange controls within a year, thus making it impossible for multinationals to repatriate to get the profits. So does this mean that multinational enterprises is performing effectively? Is the subsidiary performing effectively? Okay, so this is what we could say non-comparable data. You cannot compare the data. You have to look into all situations. Okay. Apart from that, for instance, notions of what constitutes adequate quality control checks can vary widely from one country to another. Okay. So import tariffs can distort pricing schedules, or dog strike in one country can unexpectedly delay supply of necessary components to a manufacturing plant in another country. Again, that time it is very difficult to appraise the performance of individual subsidiary managers. Okay. Then you have a volatility of global environment. Okay, that is also one of the constraint when it comes to goal attainment. Fine. So here basically there is a lot of turbulence in the global environment, which requires long-term goals be flexible in order to respond to potential market contingencies. So you don't know what type of situation may arise into the global market. So here it requires long-term goals to be flexible in order to respond to the political, in order to respond to the potential market contingencies. Okay. So here basically when we see is when I speak about this, okay, so a lot of inflexibility approach may mean that subsidiaries could be pursuing strategies that no longer fit for the new environment. So you have to be volatile, you have to keep on changing, you have to be very flexible when it comes to the goals. Okay, so that is one of the issue which do come in here. Right. So here, for an example, impact of international business of major events in the past decades or so, such as collapse of communist rule in the late 1980s in Eastern Europe and the former Soviet Union, the adoption of euro in as a single currency by most of the Union countries. So Chinese market reforms, the rise of international terrorism, and the severe acute respiratory syndrome SARS epidemic. Right now if you're seeing the corona epidemic, all these are basically a lot of issues which do come in, which do force the global environment to keep on changing. Okay. And if you are not very much flexible, you don't stay in the market. Okay, you lose. Okay, that's what we say, you have to be volatile in the global market. That is one of the issue and challenge when it comes to international performance management. How do you manage the performance of the employees in such type of global environment? Okay, apart from that, you have separation by time and distance. Okay, so here physical distance involve time zone differences, then the frequency of contacts between corporate head office staff and subsidiary managers, and the cost of reporting system. All these do come into consideration. So here judgments concerning the congruence between the multinationals and local subsidiary activities are further complicated because of all these issues, like as I said, physical distancing, okay, time zones and frequency of contacts between the head office and the subsidiary managers and all. So development in sophisticated worldwide communication systems such as fax machines, video telephone conferences, and emails do not fully substitute face-to-face contacts. Okay, so it may not be as the face-to-face contacts will be there. Okay, you may not, you may miss on certain important points. Okay, and you may not be immediately able to judge the performance of the international assignees. So in some areas, the telecommunication system may be so overloaded or underdeveloped that reliable telephone fax services or internet connections could not be assumed. Okay, it is often necessary basically to meet personally with the manager to understand fully the problems of the manager and how to deal with it, with the problems. So for this reason, many multinational corporate managers spend a considerable amount of time traveling in order to meet expatriates and local managers in foreign locations so that they can assess their performance properly. Okay. So and also put forth the performance management system in the organization in a very right way. Then apart from that, you have variable levels of maturity. Okay. So here it means that without the supporting infrastructure of the parent company, market development in foreign subsidiary is generally slower and basically more difficult to achieve than at home. Okay, so basically when it comes to subsidiary, you are having your own product which is manufactured in the home country, and then you are going and selling it into the host country. Now that becomes very difficult if there is no proper infrastructural support by the parent company. Okay, so here if you establish, whereas established brands can support new products and new business areas, can be cross subsidized by other divisions. As a result, more time may be needed to achieve results that is customary in the domestic market. Okay, so you have branded brands which are there, they can easily sell the new businesses, they can new products as well as form new businesses, but it may not be the same for customary in domestic market. So basically in domestic market you are very good, but when you are going to sell it to international market, you have to make known the brands of the brand to the people. Okay, so in fact it ought to be recognized in performance management process, it has to be recognized in performance management process. Okay, so here, so one does not fire a Mexican manager because workers' productivity is half the American average. In Mexico, that would mean that this manager is working at the level 3 or 4 times as high as the average Mexican industrial plant. Okay, so here we need to relevant comparative data, not absolute numbers. So here basically you have to go in for comparing. Okay, so the Mexican manager has to live with Mexican constraints, not European or American ones. Okay, so your American manager will be living according to the American constraints. So Mexican, basically the work productivity is not exactly the same as in Mexico or Europe or America. There may be lot of differences. So all these variables, whatever are there, that has to be considered when it comes to performance appraisal, and that becomes a biggest constraint for goal attainment, or maybe the issue or challenge in international performance management. So these are the various issues and challenges which do come in international performance management. Okay, then moving on to next, country specific performance management. Okay, so here basically we have I have taken one particular country here. Okay, United States of America. So here, strong individualistic nature of US culture is manifested in PMS, okay, as a conviction that employees ought to be evaluated on their individual performance and contribution. So if you could see appraisal, performance management appraisal into States of America, they look into the employees individual performance and the individual contributions of the employees towards the organization. So that is what they look into. So here basically why they look into this particular concept is because the US nationals are very strong when it comes to individuals. Okay, they are very individualistic. Okay, as a capitalistic country, workers in US largely expect that their rewards will be direct result of their individual contributions. So as a capital, it is a capitalistic country. Okay, so here as a capitalistic country, workers in US largely expect that their rewards, whatever they get is directly the result of individual contributions what they have made to the organization. So as a result, there are competitive aspects to many performance management cycles in which one of the top performing employee receives the greatest reward. So capitalism has also created fierce competition for organizations. and the people in them to the industry leaders. Then you have um, uses of performance management in the US currency. So in the US currently, most of the US organizations use their performance managements for decision making. Okay, like related to pay, decision related to bonus, decision related to performance. Sorry, decision related to promotion, development. Okay, assignment of work, reduction in force. So fewer use of performance management to guide employee development. So basically, they are directly into decision making. Okay, they whatever performance management, they do not. If the performance is not good, then you are immediately fired out of the organization. If your performance is really good, then that particular assessment is being taken for your pay rise or bonus pay, promotion, giving in more assignments. Then also again reduction in force if your performance is not good, as I said. So basically, only few companies in US do consider performance management as a guide for employee development. They help the employees, support the employees, which include training, mentoring, and other experiences to help develop their capabilities. But that may not be the same with most of the companies in US. So choice of whether to use a system for decision making or development is critically important one that has implications for systems design and implementation. So whether you are going to use a performance management system for development of your employees or only for decision making, okay, that shows entirely the culture of that particular organization. Okay. So tools used for measuring performance management in US, that one is Six Sigma. So employees are evaluated on the basis of their highest certification in Six Sigma, that is black, green, yellow, etc., or the extent of application of Six Sigma certifications in daily work processes. That is one of the tool which is being used. Apart from that, you have benchmarking. That is also one of the tool which is being used by US companies for performance management. Apart from that, in India, basically, if you see, uh, the system of confidential reports about the performance of government servants is a means to end and not an end in itself. Okay. So the end or ultimate goal is to optimize the achievements of the government policies and programs. So in India, basically government organizations are concerned. Confidential report is one of the tool which is being used by most of the government organizations. So performance of every government servant is assessed annually to his or her confidential report, which is an important document providing the basic and vital inputs for assessing the performance of the government servant and his suitability for his or her further advancement or further career progression. Okay, like confirmation, promotion, crossing off the efficiency bar, okay, selection for deputation, selection for foreign assignment, etc. The performance appraisal, through confidential report, is a tool for human resource development in order to enable government servants to realize his or her true potential. Okay, so it is not a fault finding process, but a developmental one. Okay, system of confidential report, as it exists in Indian civil services also, is based on old bureaucratic pattern of colonial days, notwithstanding the fact that with the passage of time, some significant changes have taken place also. However, traditionally, governance structure in India are characterized by rule based approaches. So, the focus of civil services in India is on the process regulation, compliance with centrally prescribed standards and rules. In other words, how things should be done and how input should be aligned. Okay, so this is basically about the civil services as well as the government companies in India. So performance of the bureaucracy depends to a great extent on the relation with their political masters. Okay, so all these things are there. Bureaucracy is there a lot in India. So bureaucracy in India is basically accountable to managers, sorry, to ministers in charge of the department. But in practice, the accountability is vague and general in nature since there is no system of ex ante. Fine. So specifically, apart from that, there are n number of tools which are being used by private companies. Okay, which we have seen in the last HRM subject. Okay, so you have n number of roles like management by objective. Okay, then afterwards human resource accounting. Okay, all these are various tools which are being used in India. So in Australia, basically, the attributes of international structure that define the Australian performance management efforts involve at least five elements. So, first element is structure of the parliament. Okay, so although it is described as a Westminster parliamentary system, the presence of the vigorous and independent upper house, the Senate, means the prime minister is often thwarted by this element of bicameral system. So this limits the ability of the individuals to speak for the entire government. Second is the Australian executive has to acknowledge that there are separate states, okay, some of which are dominated by political parties in opposition to the parties in power at the national level. So there are times when attempts act as if the nation was a unitary system do not extend beyond the theoretical posture. Okay, so third, despite in relatively small size, Australian national government contains a wide variety of programs with quite different historical, political constituencies and problems. So, attempts to treat the entire Commonwealth government as if marched in lock-up state are rarely successful. So, four, as a result of fiscal and management changes over the past 25 years, number of programs that had been operated by public entities have been contracted out. So, in these instances, while government has the ability to establish contractual relationship with non-government entities in some significant instances, they have limited ability to enforce specific performance requirements. So they will not be able to enforce specific performance requirements. Okay. Finally, Australian political party system is characterized by strong and independent political fractions. So the three main political parties contain very different perspective on the number of policies and programs. So two of these parties have been in a long time coalition and are now in power. So basically, there are n number of differences when it comes to the various countries. Okay, so culture of the country, various country varies. Okay, like we have seen in Hofstade's, theories when we saw in the second semester, that is HRM. Okay, so based on the culture of the country, the performance management system also is being based. Okay, so this is all about the module 5. Okay, we reach at the end of module 5, students. Any doubts still here? Yashasvi, any doubt?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you, students.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah.